Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today's layout is part of a celebratory YouTube hop. We are celebrating the wonderful Kathy, who has reached 1,000 subscribers. If you don't know Kathy or you don't follow her on Instagram, she's at Scrappy Kathy, so I do recommend you head over and have a look at her channel because she makes some stunning layouts. So for our hop today, we are each scrap lifting one of Kathy's layouts. So I've just shown the layout I've chosen and I've popped it up in the top corner for you. And she's also asked us to incorporate the theme of firsts. So I'll come back to that in a bit, but that's what we're doing today. So I've pulled out the Simple Stories I Am collection and a couple of photos from last summer. We were in the Isle of Wight on holiday. Now there's several firsts going on here with this story. So it's the first time we'd actually been out of the house and done pretty much anything in a very long time because of COVID, obviously. We'd gone over to the Isle of Wight. My parents live over there, so we were very lucky to get away to theirs for a bit. And it was also the first time at this particular adventure park. So it's Robin Hill Park on the Isle of Wight. And I've got some really fond memories of going there as a child, and I've been desperate to take my son there for 4 years, or it would have been 3 years last summer, but I've been desperate to take him there since he was born. But last time we went, he was a bit young to kind of appreciate it, but last year was the year and he absolutely loved it. So it was the first time he'd been there, so I wanted to document these photos. So I've pulled out 2 patterned papers here. I've cut this pink square 7 by 7 inches, and that's to sit on the background. Now this middle part I'm going to keep pretty similar to Kathy's original, in that she's got a square piece on the background and then these 2 long narrow banners. So I've cut these banners 3 inches wide and I think they were 8.5 inches long. And I'm just distressing all the edges of those. So they're from the same patterned paper. I've just used both sides of it because I really liked it and I thought the colours went really well. So just distressed all the edges of everything. Kathy hasn't distressed her edges, I don't think, but that's my little way of putting my stamp on this layout. Is I love to distress my edges. So although I'm scrap lifting Kathy, I am trying to kind of bring in a bit of my own style as well. So I'm going to stick that square in place flat. If you are familiar with my layouts, you'll know I love to have a lot of dimension on the page, but I'm going to build that up with the layers. So that first layout is going to go on flat. And I'm just kind of marking out roughly where that needs to be so that it's central on the page. And I'm going to bring in those banners and get those stuck down. So that first one again is going to be stuck down flat. But the next one I'm going to raise up on craft foam. This is self-adhesive craft foam, and that's where I'm going to start building that dimension into my layout. And then my photos can sit nicely in the centre there. So I'm just going to stick those together because I'm happy with that placement. And what I will need to do is just add a layer of foam to the back of one of the photos to raise it up to the same level as that tag. But before I do that, I think I'm getting to it. On Kathy's layout, she's also got a horizontal banner going across the centre of the page. Now initially I wasn't sure if I wanted to include that or not, but at this point I've decided I do want to. So I'm just adjusting that banner slightly and pulled my photo to one side, and I've selected this paper. And I thought it worked quite well because one of that floral banner there has got this kind of mustard colour in it. This is a very busy layout for me. I don't usually use so many busy patterned papers on the same layout. It's very unusual for me, but I went with it and I told myself that I'd love it by the end, which I do. But it's getting over that initial shock of seeing 4 different pattern papers like that on top of each other. It's just very unusual for me. But once my photos are on top and I've added some embellishments, it kind of draws your eye away from how busy the page is because you've got other things to distract you. and I leave plenty of white space around the edge in the end to kind of balance out the busyness. So yeah, it's very, very busy for me, but I absolutely love how it turned out in the end. So I've stuck that piece horizontally across the middle, just added some foam in places to raise it all up to the same level, and then I've stuck my photos on. And I've decided I want to kind of give these pieces of patterned paper a kind of finish. So although I've got the distressing, I felt like they needed more. So I'm using a white gel pen here just to doodle a border around each of the edges there. And I've had to turn my desk lamp on because it has been awful today in my part of the UK. I've had friends sending me photos of glorious sunny days, and we have had literally black sky and rain all day, and my craft room just suddenly got really dark. So I wanted to add some white splatters as well over those pattern papers, so I've just watered down some white gesso and just using a paintbrush to add those in. I've covered my photos just for a moment so I don't get nice big white blobs all over our faces. I prefer to use gesso for my white splatters. I've got a white acrylic paint, but it kind of dries almost translucent. It doesn't give as much of a white effect as I find the gesso does, so I always tend to use my gesso for my splatters. Now for my title, I kind of wanted to give a nod to Kathy's layout here and use the gold, but I didn't have anything gold from the I Am collection. I don't actually think there was much gold. There's a couple of small pieces in the ephemera, but no large titles. So I've reached for the sticker sheet from Maggie Holmes' Garden Party collection, and I've pulled out the word lovely. And on camera here it kind of gets lost on that pattern paper, but you notice it a bit more in real life. So I've just positioned that on the larger of the tags there, the front tag, and then I decided I wanted to add some pom-pom trim going down the side. So at this point I've kind of realised that Kathy's layout has got those two diagonal patterned paper strips, top and bottom. I'm not going to be including those. My initial plan was to, but I don't really have the space for it, and because I'm already semi-uncomfortable with the amount of pattern paper going on my background, I've decided not to include those. So I wanted to add a bit more detail to the base of my layout. So I've brought in some white pom-pom trim there and just tucked it under on the left-hand side. So now I'm just going to fussy cut a few butterflies for my layout from one of the other patterned papers. And while I do that, I'll just let you know what's going on today. So like I said at the beginning, it's a hop to celebrate Kathy. You'll find in my description box the links to all the other channels, all the other videos in the hop, so please do take a moment to work your way through them and have a look at everyone's videos. We are all scraplifting one of Kathy's layouts, so I'm really excited to see which one everybody chose, because I had a really hard time picking one. There's quite a few I wanted to do, so I've added those to a list for a later date. But Kathy has asked us to incorporate the theme of first, so kind of like first love, first child, first home, things like that. And that's because today is the anniversary of her and her husband's first day, and sadly Kathy lost John recently, so today would have been the anniversary of their first day, so that's why we are all incorporating the theme of first. And like I said, I've gone with the first holiday we had, or first time we've been out really after lockdown, and our first time at Robin Hill Park, so those are my firsts. And I really love these photos. It's not often we get photos of all of us, even if it is just my husband in one and me in the other. It's usually one or the other, so it's really nice that my little boy decided to pose for both on this day. So I fussy cut those butterflies and I've just kind of scattered them around. I've also picked out a couple of bits from the ephemera pack. I've got a hanging basket there with some florals in, which might seem a bit random, but these photos were taken in the Chinese water garden at Robin Hill Park, and there were loads of kind of hanging baskets and hanging things like that. So although it might look a bit random, it makes perfect sense to me, so that's why I've included that. And then I was just about to fussy cut some flowers from this paper, and I decided that actually it would make a really good border for my page because it's got all the same colours in it that the pattern papers have that I've used. Probably the idea is it's from the same collection, but I just looked at it and thought it would work really well. So I've gutted the middle of that and I've left as thin a border as I can so that I can fussy cut as many flowers as possible from this collection. But I will add that as a frame around the edge of my layout at the end. But first I'm just working my way around getting things stuck in place. So again, I'm bringing in some more dimension by using those foam pads to stick things down. And then I was trying to decide which colour flower to use, and I've gone with that lovely mustard yellow, and I'm going to pop that up in the top left corner just to bring a bit of the yellow up to there. And again, I'm raising that up onto foam pads, and that's just going to sit nicely behind the top corner of my photo. Then I've got these two little floral clusters from the ephemera pack. I'm going to add those to the top and bottom corners. So Kathy's layout has got a lot of florals and a butterfly on it, so I've kind of tried to give a nod to both of those in this layout. And I do like to have a bit of a tidy up as I work. I can't stand working at a messy desk, so every now and then you'll see I do go around tidying bits and putting things I'm not using away. So now I've just trimmed my background page down. I've only trimmed it by 1/4 inch on each edge because I'd left quite a narrow frame on that patterned paper. I didn't want to cut too much off. So I've cut 1/4 inch off each edge, and I'm going to go around and distress all my edges again just to tie in the whole page together, because obviously I've distressed the edges of the patterned papers on my layout. And then normally I would add my double-sided tape to the background of my layout, but because I'd done such a thin border, I've decided to add it to the border this time, so that I know if I'd stuck it on the white, I'd have probably stuck it too far in and it would have gone in the centre, like where that hole is, and wouldn't have stuck right. So I stuck it to the frame instead this time. And I'm just going to distress the edges a little further with my fingers just around the edge there. Then this is a sticker sheet from the I Am collection. I'm just having a look. And I found this lovely little camera that's got kind of florals all over it, and that was quite pretty. So I've stuck that up on foam on that top right hand corner there. I think I pick off a couple of small hearts as well. Oh, and I've got another hanging basket there to pop something. It was looking a bit bare in that corner and a bit too pink, so I've popped something else down there, and that's kind of brought a touch of green in. Just had to snip one of my pom-pom balls off to make that fit there nicely. Then I've got a couple of green hearts I add in just to those corners. Again, another tidy up. Do you like my tidying? And then I just want to finish off with some splatters on my background. So I pull out a few colours. I was struggling with a shimmers in the right shade of pink. I pulled out, I think it's called Beats Me, or Beats You, something like that. But it was a bit too much on the lilac side, so that one got replaced with a Nouveau spray. So this is a Cosmic Shimmer Iridescent Water Paint, and it's kind of like a minty green colour. It worked really well. Then I've got this pink from Nouveau. I had pulled out the Inklings from Shimmers, Minor 49er. I was going to add some gold, but decided to stop at the pink and green. I know if I added the gold, I would have been kicking myself because it'd probably been a bit too much. And then I'm just going to finish off my layout off camera with a line of bright pink stitching all around the edge of my layout. And that is me done. So thank you very, very much for joining me today. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And as I said before, all the channel links for today's hop you'll find in my description box. So I'll leave you with the close-ups for now, and I shall see you next time.